Hello.
Hello.
Okay, we're a little bit early, but we thought we may as well start. I think there's not much room for anyone else to sit down. So, good afternoon. Thanks very much for coming along. It's midway through the afternoon, so if you're anything like me, you're probably feeling a bit jaded now, a bit run down. So hopefully this session we're going to be reasonably fast-paced. We're going to show you plenty of examples of stuff. And as we're showing you 4 lessons for the entertainment industry, hopefully you'll be entertained by what we've got to show you. My name's Colin Welch. I head up one of the production teams at Brightwave that produces bespoke e-learning.
And I'm Alex Reeve. I'm a learning consultant at Brightwave.
So, before we get into showing you the lessons themselves, I thought I'd just start off with a question to frame the session. What makes online learning engaging? Make it engaging is one of the most common things we receive in briefs and RFPs from clients. If there's anybody here who's commissioned a piece of bespoke e-learning from a supplier before, just put your hand up if you've asked them to make it engaging. Good, a few people. And hopefully it should go without saying. Obviously, if we haven't engaged our learners, then we've lost them at the first hurdle, if they're not engaged with the content. But what does engaging actually mean in an e-learning perspective? And traditionally, it's kind of meant a range of interactive screen types. So taking a bunch of content, making it interactive some way, so a reveal, click on something to make something else appear, or a drag and drop, or test-to-teach techniques like multiple choice questions. And that's all fine, and obviously with good learning design, we can produce reasonably engaging solutions via those methods. But this is increasingly the technical landscape within which we're competing for our learners' attention in the 21st century. People have got less time to learn, they're used to getting information at the point of need, and they're increasingly benchmarking their expectations of all forms of digital content against their experiences of technology in their home lives and using devices like iPads and these sorts of apps. So why would someone be compelled to click on this rather boring-looking e-learning folder down here in the bottom right-hand corner when you've got a whole range of other stuff from the entertainment industry available at your fingertips? If you've got 10 minutes to spare, you might be more compelled to watch a video or browse the web or log into one of your social networks to see what your mates are up to, or indeed play a short game. So we have a duty to our learners to make our solutions truly engaging within that sort of landscape. And so we're going to spend the next 25 minutes or so just talking you through 4 lessons from the entertainment industry and how we've taken inspiration, how learning designers can take inspiration from TV and drama, from advertising and marketing, from the games industry, and from the web. So we're going to kick off by looking at TV and drama. Now, video, of course, has been used in learning for a very long time. Video arts was set up in 1972, so video in learning is not a new thing. However, with bandwidth restrictions coming down, video production costs coming down, we can now deliver sort of broadcast standard in terms of production values, video, to the learner full screen within their browser, and that gives us a number of exciting possibilities. So I'm just going to talk through a couple of the devices that we've taken where we've been inspired by TV and drama. The first is the use of a presenter. So if you imagine a TV documentary or a TV show without a host or without a presenter, what you end up is it's just going to be a series of clips, a series of pieces of information that are pretty sort of hard to follow in terms of the context. So having a presenter for the learner helps contextualise the learning for them, guide them through the content, and it also personalises it. If you've got a real person talking to you from your screen, it's much more engaging than someone saying click next to continue or just a voiceover. So I'm just going to show a quick clip from it's a large induction programme we produced for a bank, for the customer service department in a bank. And because it was such a large programme, we themed the whole learner journey around a car trip. So we figured it made sense to put the presenter behind the wheel of a car. And I'm just going to run this short clip.
By identifying fraud, we reduce fraud losses by decreasing the number of successful account takeovers.
Okay.
But what's most important from a customer point of view is how we handle suspected fraud. This moment of truth is what makes or breaks the relationship. By identifying fraud quickly, we give customers the security of knowing that their money and personal data are safe with us, and they'll become advocates of the bank. Later on in your learning journey, you'll refer to Fountain, so you'll know what to do if a customer reports fraud.
Okay, so that just hopefully gives you an idea of the sort of production values that are possible. Some of the devices, say multiple camera angles, cutaways, and that sort of device of having a presenter behind the wheel of a car is something that learners are familiar with TV programs like Top Gear or Who Do You Think You Are, being taken on a journey by the presenter. The second device that I was going to show you, or example from the entertainment industry, is just the use of acted drama. Again, acted drama is something that learning designers have been using for a while. I was just going to show you a quick example of a program that we delivered for BP. This is a diversity and inclusion program, and video, and specifically dramatised video, is a fantastic mechanism for D&I and any type of content really that has an interpersonal skills element where we're trying to draw out something that's a bit more esoteric or subtle than just you've got something wrong or you've got something right. So this whole program was built up around a short series of video clips. We told a story throughout, so the learners got to know the characters, got to empathise with them, got to understand what motivated them, and then you just start to learn more about what motivates yourself, the unconscious bias that exists in all of us, and how that affects your performance in the workplace and how inclusivity works. So I'm just going to play a short clip here. I've got very little room for the mouse here. This clip deals with George, who is a team manager, and the learning point it's drawing out is his sort of rather bullish management style and how that affects members of his team. So I'll just run the clip.
Good morning, team. Are we happy people?
Yes, boss.
Excellent. So you know what's happened to NASDAQ overnight? I sent a powerful downturn. Get it? Sent? Yeah, okay, that was weak. But not as weak as the dollar. So where are we at?
Well, I've started on a buy-sell strategy, factoring risks.
Headlines, OJ, not an annual report. We need it before we open. Luke, you look like death. Hit the coffee cow, get caffeinated, and get on the phone.
On it.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to give you an idea of the way that we use drama in that programme, by the time the learner reaches this point, they'll have got to know those characters and understand what's going on with the backstory. And the learning points are then drawn out by a number of other resources that are made available so that people can visit. The other device that we've kind of borrowed from the entertainment industry in this is the director's commentary, or the expert commentary, which people are familiar with from most DVDs these days. So if I click down here...
In this clip, we see George living out, demonstrating a particular kind of team culture. What do you think of that culture in terms of how this group of people work together? How inclusive is it? Watch out as well for how sensitively Curtis's domestic arrangements are dealt with.
Okay, so that's just a few examples from TV and drama. Just to summarise, the lessons from TV and drama are engaging learners with presenter-led video, dramatised video to bring out some more of the subtle learning points that are less easy to deal with than the written word, and the use of expert commentary. And now I'll hand over to Alex for lesson 2.
Okay, thanks, Colin. So, in our first lesson from the world of advertising and marketing, we're going to have a look at a product knowledge course we produced for William Grant & Sons, the Irish whiskey makers. So our intention with this course was to create an e-learning experience which feels as glossy and as persuasive as a TV commercial. So I'll just show you a little bit from the introduction. Go through here.
Hello, I'm John Quinn. I'm the Global Brand Ambassador for Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey. Sorry I can't be with you for your presentation. However, I know you're in good hands.
To make up for my absence, I'd like to take you through the process of making whiskey, especially Irish whiskey. On the face of it, whiskey making is very straightforward. For ingredients, we just need grain and water and yeast. We mash the grain and water together to make a sugary liquid to which we add the yeast, and fermentation happens to give us a type of beer. This is a sour beer.
Now, just a few years ago, creating a presenter-led video like this, mixed in with graphics to bring out his key points, would have been prohibitively expensive. But that's not the case anymore. We're now able to produce really good quality video for a very modest budget now, which is why at Brightwave we always recommend using video whenever it's appropriate, because we feel it is the most engaging learning medium that we have at our disposal. And obviously the phenomenal success of YouTube is testament to that. Okay, so our next lesson from the world of marketing and advertising is the importance of taking a campaign-based approach. Because we're all very forgetful creatures, so we need to keep repeating key messages if we want to make the learning stick. And so in this example, what we often do as part of learning campaigns is create a promotional trailer for the change or learning initiative to just get across a few key messages. So in this example for Tesco Bank, the idea here was we were trying to appeal to a very young target audience, new starters at the bank, who understandably don't find the prospect of home insurance training that exciting. So we went in with quite a nice tongue-in-cheek, lively style to just get across those few key messages and get them ready for the rest of their learning. So just to sum up, two key lessons from advertising and marketing are about taking a campaign-based approach and treating learners as consumers.
Okay, the third lesson we're going to show you is from gaming. Now, the gaming industry is one that has got engagement of people down to a fine art. Really dedicated gamers will go back to their favourite titles and rack up literally thousands and thousands of hours of gameplay time. And they do that via a number of different mechanisms, including real-time feedback, levelling up, an element of competition, leaderboards. And that all plays into kind of behaviours that are inherent in all of us, around a motivation to progress. We want to control our own environment, and that element of competition can be a really compelling one. So gamification, of course, is a buzzword that's been flying around our industry a lot of late, and with good reason, because a learning solution that employs gamification well can really be engaging and want learners to come back to it and make it really sticky. So this is a stat we mentioned in a previous presentation that Gartner predicts by 2014 that more than 70% of Global 2000 organisations will have at least one gamified application. I'm just going to share, I haven't actually got the demo for this, but this is just a small example of how gamification actually done in a reasonably small way can have a really big difference on take-up of a learning programme and its effectiveness. So this is a portal-based solution we produced for Heineken. It was for their sales academy, so it was resource-based. People could navigate around it, find all sorts of different resources. The whole thing was pulled together by a really heavily gamified quiz section. And we designed the game around the sort of spin the bottle motif, it being for Heineken. And it had a really robust assessment, actually, at its heart. It had over 700 questions, which were randomised. And we built the scoring engine so that it was really compelling. So it wasn't just get a point for getting a question right. There were bonus points for things like getting questions right the first time, for getting all the questions right in a section. And it's actually really addictive and compelling. I played it for ages and don't know any answers, but carried on playing it anyway. That then is all reported back to this leaderboard that was on the main portal. And a sales audience is a pretty competitive bunch anyway. And this just kind of added flames to the fire and really compelled people to really go back to this section of the learning. So this actually, the quiz section was the most popular part of the portal. And in effect, it's the assessment. And the assessment is usually the bit of an e-learning course that people click through as quickly as they possibly can to get to the end and see if they're passed or not. So for it to be the most popular section is fantastic. And we know that to register the sorts of levels of points that are at the top of that leaderboard represents hours and hours and hours of gameplay. So, and therefore much better exposure to the learning. And what better way to gamify something to actually make a physical game out of it? So we actually created a board game, which was a replica of the quiz section. I can't remember how many of them we got printed up, but quite a few, and they got sort of distributed around so that the sales guys could play this at their meetups. So it sort of made it more social and more interactive, as well as just being online. As well as gamification techniques, we can also learn from the gaming industry in terms of some of the tools that we use. And that's no truer than in the world of 3D simulations and games. There's a whole raft of different applications for 3D in learning, far too many to sort of go to in any depth here. I have written an article on it. It's on page 86 of the guide that you got when you gave in, the show guide, so do have a read of that. They got my job title wrong, but I'm not going to hold them against it. We have been using Unity at Brightwave for a product training piece, which unfortunately I can't show you because it's still in production. But 3D simulations can lend themselves really well to the sort of training where you've got either a product or a situation where to learn on the real device or in the real environment, in the real world, would be either dangerous or very expensive. And it's much more an immersive way of doing it than either just watching video or clicking through a bunch of e-learning screens about a subject. So we built a product model. It's a medical product. It's quite expensive and quite expensive to use. And the learners can actually manipulate it. They can press the buttons on it and see the results. So it's structured in that there are modules within it that people can work through, but there are many elements of it where the user is able just to play with the device and get to know it. So the speed to competency when they actually get to use it in the real world is much quicker. Other applications for 3D environments include things like health and safety training. The police and the army use it a lot for things like battlefield simulations or incident simulations. And you can obviously make the model once and then put lots of different sort of scenarios within it. So it's very powerful for those sorts of things. So whilst we can't show you the piece that we're actually working on, we have actually knocked together a little demo in Unity, which I'm going to show you now. I'm going to ask Alex to be my GIMP so I can move around it. So this is just, I've gone behind the wall. This is a 3D environment that we've put together in Unity. You can already see that the control mechanism allows you complete freedom to move around the space. And we have put some sort of basic interactions in here as well. So if I go over to this table, hold on, I can't see what I'm doing. There's Learning Tech Magazine, so I can click on that, and there's a link out to an article that our own Jonathan Archibald's written. Whilst I'm here, we can pop the TV on using this remote control here. So we can deliver video content within the 3D environment.
Learning has the power to transform.
We learn every day in every way.
It's just bloody adverts on the telly as usual, so I'll turn that off. Over here we've got a couple of handsome fellows, so we can find out a little bit more about them. And all this illustrates is that you can link out to various things. These could be learning elements. You could have this as a health and safety course, so a well-designed set of interactions from a learning design point of view. You could set learners a variety of goals, and they could explore an environment freely in order to achieve them, which is obviously a really engaging way of doing things. A few things to sort of point out about tech, because this is, you look at this and you think, oh, this is for games, this is not about learning, and it's probably very expensive. But actually, the technology now is starting to become more accessible. Unity itself is not an overly expensive package, and it also comes with a variety of affordable asset packs. So you can download all of these kind of elements of environments and use them to quickly assemble an environment without having the cost of having to sort of design all of these things individually. It is deployable in browsers. That won't work, Alex, as you've probably just discovered. Whilst this is just running on my laptop, which isn't a particularly powerful laptop, so in terms of the end user delivery environment, it doesn't need to be particularly high-end machines that we deliver to. Sorry, I've forgotten the other points I was going to make now. Alex is closed the thing. we don't need to go out into other learning authoring tools. There is a SCORM integration kit for Unity, which means that any of those interactions I showed you, so clicking on something, could be reported back to a learning management system. So the product training piece that we're currently working on isn't being developed in any other tool, it's entirely in Unity. We've developed the 2D elements in there, the UI and everything else. So we're in a position where we can actually consider Unity in effect an e-learning authoring tool, which opens up a whole range of different possibilities. And from a budget point of view, the product training piece that we are developing, it's about 30 minutes worth of content, and it's not dissimilar in terms of cost from a kind of higher end of the Flash training spectrum. So there's lots of potential in Unity. Just to take that to the next stage with an eye on the future, this is me with what looks like a tea tray strapped to my face, but is in fact the Oculus Rift, which is a virtual reality mask. These will be available in the consumer market this year, I think, and will be priced around sort of £300. So that opens up a whole wealth of other possibilities for environments that you can really explore. I think that's it for gaming. So just to recap, the lessons from the gaming industry are the sort of gamification techniques like goal setting, real-time feedback, leveling up, competition, and then the possibilities that are presented to us with immersive 3D environments.
Okay, so we're now going to look at a couple of lessons from the web. It's worth saying that the whole e-learning industry has taken its lessons from the web right from the start, since we made the transition from CD-ROMs to online learning. And so we're just going to have a look at a couple of newish web design techniques which we think are going to have a really big impact on the e-learning space. So the first is the use of responsive design techniques and infographics. So in this example here, we've built is a responsive website with animated infographics as you scroll down the page. It's themed around the learning technology trends that we've been observing over the last year. And it's a nice technique in that you can explore the information at your own pace. Colin's got quite a quick pace, but that's just him. You know, it's a really nice technique. And another great thing about it is that these kind of e-learning courses which are packaged in this responsive web format play out across all different devices. So if we move back to the slides, what you'll see is that in our responsive approach, it means that the site scales to different screens it's viewed on, which is it makes the whole development process much more cost effective because you only create one version of the content for all your learners' devices. So that's a really big trend in the e-learning space this year. Okay, the next lesson from the web we're going to look at is the influence of social media sites like Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter on corporate learning platforms. So here we have Tesselo, Brightwave's learning platform. And as you'd expect in a site like this, you know, it gives you fast access to e-learning resources. Everything is tracked using the Tin Can API, the latest generation of SCORM. And also within this platform, you can aggregate all relevant supporting resources here and see events that are being listed online. But what I think is really interesting about this latest generation of platforms is the social layer that's being integrated. So, you know, we can see here, you know, the latest community activity on the site, trending, the most popular content, because all content objects and posts on the site can be liked. So just like Facebook, the content that's most popular rises to the surface. So every time you go into the platform, it's always new, it's always generating new content and activity and interest. And there's also a gamification element to this platform in that as you engage with the site, as you like objects, as you share information and answer questions with your peers, you accrue points for each activity in the site. So you can see how you're kind of performing on the site, because there are these kind of leaderboards with your reputation score going up as you get the most from the site. So I'll just take you through a couple more screenshots. So here we can see the community area where you can go in and post questions and answers or share links to other resources. You can go in and check who are the members of your group, again in a kind of Facebook style, so you've got a sense of who you're learning with if you're a distributed group across the country. And so, yeah, that was just a little taster of Tesselo. If you're interested in finding out more about it, please come over to our stand and we'll be happy to give you a demo and give you more information about that platform. Okay, so just to sum up quickly in terms of lessons from the web, the key ones are about the move to multi-device learning through responsive design, increasing use of animated infographics to communicate those key messages really clearly and memorably, and the integration of social media features into learning platforms like Tesselo. Okay, so I think hopefully from what you've seen today, the kind of running theme we have is about treating learners as consumers and trying to create learning experiences that match their really high expectations of consuming other forms of media on the web. And that's really what Brightwave is committed to doing, creating those really high impact, memorable learning experiences.
Yeah, so if we think back to the beginning of the presentation to what we think makes learning engaging, it's gone much, much further beyond the sort of click next to continue, those traditional instructional design devices of just taking some content, chunking it up, and making parts of it interactive by clicking on things. So we really can take a lot of lessons from TV drama, advertising, marketing, gaming, and the web, and use them to inform our learning design, borrow those devices, be inspired by them, and create truly engaging learning. We're just there, so if you've got any questions about anything that we've talked about today, please come over and grab us or any of our colleagues. We can show you demos of everything that we've shown you today. Thanks very much for your attention.
Thank you.